started working with Davey Tree Expert Company in 1967 as a climber. How I got into the forestry business. I'd gone to college, studied to be a saw log forester, and I studied that for 4 years. Never worked in a day in my life because I got a chance to make big bucks working for Davies in 1967. They were paying $2.15 an hour for climbers, and minimum wage was 95 cents. So go for twice the minimum wage, couldn't pass that up. And next year they gave me $2.50. So I was really loaded. But I started that. I ran my own business for about 12 years in Illinois after I got out of the service, and worked at Western Illinois University on the grounds crew for about 8 years, and then decided I wanted to try teaching. Ended up in North Dakota. That's basically who I am. I pretty much know who you are. We've got a selection here of tree care providers, interested citizens, parks people from Peace Garden, city parks, Entrepreneurial Center Horticulture, local garden club representative, and one student that thinks maybe he'll get some brownie points if he shows up tonight. Hopefully he's going to go back and tell everybody else what a fantastic program it is. And my wife over here, for those of you who don't know her, she puts up with me most of the time. So well, we've got a mix of people, and that's what I was after here tonight. Back several years ago in '92, I was asked if I would like to attend a training session in St. Louis to learn about what was new at the time, a principle called plant health care. And plant health care was a interesting concept because it was basically a landscape plan for your yard or for a park or anything else, but based on the biology of the plant, based on what was going on. When I worked for Davies, we used the best technology of the day. We made every cut flush with the trunk. If it was over 1 inch in diameter, you painted it with black tree paint, and if it crawled, you hosed it down with DDT and lead arsenate. And all of them seemed to work real good in 1967. Lead arsenate, DDT kind of was illegal in '68, and has been ever since. But things changed a lot over the years. We found out that when we put that black tree tar on there, we created a nice, warm, dark, moist spot, which fungus really likes. Those of you with athlete's foot know all about that. We learned that when we made a flush cut with the tree, we not only cut off the branch we were cutting off, but we cut a big chunk out of the trunk too. And through compartmentalization, they're two separate entities. One is part of the branch and the other is part of the trunk. And if you don't injure the trunk there's very little chance of whatever was in the branch getting into the trunk. Just the way the system's set up. So we decided we need to know the biology of trees, because basically if you don't know how something works, it's kind of hard to know how to fix it. Doctors study how the human body works so they can learn how to fix it. Mechanics, same way. Got to know how that engine works, or they have no clue what's wrong with it, how to fix it. Then you get the person that's worked on gas engines all their life, they run into the first diesel they've ever seen or heard, and immediately they're running for cover because they just know there's a rod about to come through the side of that sucker. But after a while, you learn that if it doesn't hammer and knock like that, something's wrong with it if it's a diesel. So you've got to know how the system works. The plant health care approach, in 1967, I told you what the approach was. Hose everything down DDT and lead arsenate. They went to the IPM approach, integrated pest management. And that is a good idea. It's a combination of using the best technique available, be it cultural, chemical, whatever's out there. But based on thresholds, certain threshold, above that point you treat, below that point you don't worry about it. Say multiple methods, and it worked really good in agriculture because you could put a dollar value on it. There was a point where if there was so many bugs per acre, it would lower the yields enough that it was cheaper to spray than it was not to spray. If the bug number was lower than that, it wouldn't do as much damage as it would cost to spray. So you didn't. And farmers understood that real well because, like I said, there was a dollar value on it. It's harder to put that dollar value on the landscape, on aesthetics, things of that sort. So in 1992, the U.S. Forest Service, the National Arborist Association, and the International Society of Arboriculture went together and started promoting this plant health care approach. And they had all these train-the-trainer sessions, and to my knowledge, I of course give a talk to my class about it a couple times every year. And I've given a talk or two to like the North Dakota Urban Community Forestry Association about it. But it tended to be at least in my case, every group I talked to was preaching to the choir, so to speak. It's one of those things I think we need to get it out to the public more. It's going to be hard talking a tree care provider into providing this service if the customers, potential customers, have no idea what you're talking about, because if they don't know what it is, they don't want it. If the customers aren't going to, if you get the customers where they want the service, it doesn't do any good if the providers don't know what you're talking about. And so this is my first attempt at getting several different groups together to kind of explain what's going on. This approach, plant health care, includes all plants in the landscape and all critters out there. Social pressures, the politics involved get involved with this. There's ordinances, things like that in different cities that make the way you can trim and what you can use and things like that totally different. So it's a pretty much all-around approach. As far as all different plants, a lot of people will plant a flower bed around a tree. Okay, are you going to water for the flowers, or are you going to water for the tree for the summer? If you're going to water for the tree, you're going to soak it down with a couple inches of water about once every 2-3 weeks. If you're going to water for the flowers, you're probably going to give it a little bit every day or two. And the tree isn't going to like that real well. So it's like a lawn. Grass and trees don't get along that good. You see trees in the forest, but very little grass. Prairie, you see plenty of grass, very few trees. They're just not real big friends of each other. So what I hope to do out of this is have customers get a better understanding of the complexity of the system, how it works. The providers of tree care services and landscape services, I think, deserve a lot more recognition than they get sometimes. I think we're coming to a time, especially for older people like me, when it'd be nice to get paid a little bit for your knowledge rather than the amount of brush you haul to the end of the drive. And so many times it's been a case of, if I don't haul anything off the property, I don't get paid because they don't think I did anything. Not many people go to the doctor and say, I'm not going to pay you unless you take something out. You've got to cut something off before I give it, pay you for this. Most of us are happy if we go to the doctor and he says, you're in perfect health. You don't have a thing to worry about. You just give me my $75 and get the heck out of here. So, if we have something besides that load of brush to make a living from, it's a lot easier when you get up in your 60s and 70s and those ages like that. Hopefully after a few sessions like this, I'll get where both groups are interacting, learning a little bit more about what questions to ask. What should I ask as a provider as far as asking a customer to help me figure out how they want their lawn managed? What should the customer ask me? And then you get the natural ecosystems, social ecosystems, all working together, and then you start getting that sustainability we hear about. You hear about sustainable communities and sustainable systems. So for a start here, I'm going to go through, this is basically the first lecture my students get in the arboriculture class. It comes from a textbook called Arboriculture by Harris, Clark, and Matheny. The first edition of this book got me my job at Western Illinois University. Nancy bought it for me for Christmas, and I read it cover to cover before I went in and took the civil service test for the state of Illinois, and I think I got a 95 out of 100 or something on the test. I had the highest score, and they were crazy enough they went ahead and hired me.